Everyone says to max out your 401k, and I'm here to tell you why that's terrible advice if you want to build serious wealth. 401ks are a trap for the poor and middle class. If you're serious about wanting to break free and build wealth, pay attention. Now, I gotta say, this video is not for everybody. If you're content working a 9-to-5 job for 40 years, then maybe a 401k is probably good for you. But if you're like me, if you're hungry for financial freedom and building serious wealth, then a 401k is not the answer. Everything that you've been told about 401ks or IRAs or all the conventional bullshit that you understand about retirement planning, it's going to keep you stuck in the middle class. If you don't know what a 401k is, it's just a simple retirement vehicle that is peddled to the middle class where you could put in some money pre-tax and let it compound over some period of time. Now here's the reality. The stock market, when you adjust for inflation, maybe achieves anywhere from 6 to 9% year over year compounded growth. Now, if you have 110 years to let your money compound and you're fine working a job, and being a wage slave for 40 years, and then maybe having just enough to scrape by when you're old, maybe a 401k is great, but it's not built for people that want to build serious wealth. 6 to 8% is not going to change your life. And why am I harping on this? While I invest in businesses, I could achieve 300%, 500%, 800%, 1,000% returns on my money. That is how you move the needle. That is how you build wealth, not by getting a 6 to 8% return. What's that going to do for you? Wealthy people do not settle for small, tiny percentage increases in their growth. That is not going to achieve anything. Wealthy people look for huge opportunity, high leverage opportunities where they could really swing for the fences and make a ton of money. At the end of the day, in 99% of cases, when you put your money in a 401k, the options that are provided by your company are something like an index fund or a mutual fund, which, by the way, have a lot of fees in them that are pretty secret. A lot of people don't realize that you get charged these ridiculous fees. But you just put your money in an index fund and it just doesn't really do anything, And again, for the average person, that might be good advice. Put away a couple $1,000s and let it compound, and maybe you might have $1 million by the time you're 60. That is good for conventional people. But for entrepreneurs, for business owners, for people that want to build serious wealth, you need much greater opportunities than what a 401k offers. Another reason why I hate 401ks is your money's locked. When you put your money in a 401k, it is stuck in there until you're 59 and a half. If you pull the money out prior to that, not only do you have to pay taxes, but you get penalized on that. You get charged fees for taking your money out early. The problem is you need to remain opportunistic. Great deals come and go. You can't be in a situation where your money's locked up and you'll get penalized for taking it out. You need liquidity. You need a baseline level of liquidity. So if a good real estate deal comes through or an opportunity to buy into a business or some type of investment comes up, you need that ability to have liquidity so you can jump and pounce on those opportunities. But a lot of people sit there and cry, but there's tax advantages, right? That's another reason. People say, there's tax advantages to letting your money grow tax-free. But it's not, it's tax deferred. You still have to pay taxes when you pull that money out. And the problem is, generally speaking, the older you get, the more income you earn, the higher tax bracket you'll ultimately be in. So when you start to pull that money out when you're older, if anything, you might be taxed at a higher rate. Now, there are situations where you could invest in investment vehicles, that have the same, if not better, tax advantages. I mean, the easiest one, the most common one is real estate. Real estate has so many tax advantages. Like, what's the point of locking your money away in a 401k when you have vehicles like real estate, which you're not going to be penalized for selling the property, or if not better tax advantages. You have opportunities like the 1031 exchange, where if you sell a commercial real estate property, you could defer 100% of the capital gains tax if you roll it and buy another property. You have depreciation. You could earn income. You could be cash flowing every month, but you depreciate the value of the property. And so on paper, it looks like you're not making any money and you pay no taxes. There are so many advantageous ways. You could write off interest expense. There's so many different vehicles out there to take advantage of the tax benefits. You don't need to lock your money in a 401k to do that. And what I said earlier is ultimately the most important thing. The 401k is built for an employee. It's built for somebody who's content with mediocrity, who's fine slaving away for 20, 30, 40 years at a company. I'll get my 1% or 2% employee match, and I'll sit there and let my money compound for 8%. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that's not acceptable to me. I want to get not an 8% return, I want an 8,000% return on my money. I've had situations where I've actually technically had an infinite rate of return on my money. I bought a cash flowing business for no money out of my pocket. If my basis is zero, That's an infinite return. I've done situations like this constantly. I look to acquire businesses, to scale businesses, to grow my wealth, to build companies, to sell them. It's that equity that's going to get me rich, not putting my money away in some type of ridiculous 401k scam. And again, I'm harping on it, but really, it's okay for the average person. It's okay for, not everybody could be an entrepreneur and buy businesses and scale. So I'm obviously talking to the few select people that really want more out of life and want to achieve a much greater level of growth than what's being peddled to the masses. And I'd like to make one last point, at least, as to why I hate the concept of 401ks. The entire onus, the entire focus is basically building this portfolio value, and it's not focused on cash flow. People have this idea of, okay, I'll put away some money and every month I'll put some money aside and I'll let it compound. And maybe by the time I'm 65, I might have $1 million or $2 million or something. And then your financial advisor will give you this bullshit, conventional advice of, oh, there's the 4% rule. I could draw down 4% of the portfolio and, that'll be able to sustain me into retirement. Well, if you have $1 million, what's 4% of that? $40,000? How in the fuck are you going to live off of that? Especially, 40 years from now. You can't. You need to invest in opportunities that generate cash flow, right? Instead of having $1 million worth of stocks where you might get some modicum dividends and really the focus is just on appreciation, that money would be far better spent being invested in businesses or invested in real estate or some type of alternative investments that really have more of a focus on production, generating cash flow, and returning that cash flow to you as a shareholder. Income and cash flow is the most important thing in retirement, not a nest egg. Because the nest egg is basically, you're killing your goose versus eating the golden eggs. If you're serious about building wealth, you need to stop playing a middle-class game. The 401k isn't an answer. A Roth IRA, that's not the answer. None of that stuff is. It's all a trap. It's designed for the middle class. That's all it is. Instead, you need to focus your efforts on high return opportunities, cash flowing assets, productive assets, and ultimately investments that'll give you more control over your financial future. I do want to put this out there. I am accessible. I am a small channel still. My contact information is in the video description. If anybody has any question about investments or has any ideas they want to run by me, my phone number, my email, all that stuff is available. Please reach out to me. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, thank you for explaining all this. I know maybe what I shouldn't be doing with my money and I have a better idea as to what exactly I should be doing, but what exactly should I be buying? If so, click over here. I made a video recently about the difference between commodities and productive assets and why it's so important to be investing and buying productive assets. Watch that video. It's super helpful. And again, I appreciate you tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. It really does help. I'll see you next time.